couple years ago, I mean, I bought the gym. We're coming up on year 4 here. This is year 3, and we've kept a lot of the main logos. So like the state of Louisiana was the logo, and they like had a kettlebell with it, and it's kind of there's some different iterations of it, but I just felt like I wanted something that was a little bit more symbolic. Just because like the state of Louisiana is great, but it's just the state of Louisiana. You can do a lot of different.
Anybody can have the state of Louisiana.
I mean, exactly. So I was like, okay, we need like a little something. And I was going through all these different ideas and do I change the name? What do we do? What do we do? And I was like, what if we keep it all the same? I like it. Who knows how God may use it. So we'll just keep it. It keeps kind of the history of everything together, and I just need a symbol. So, I had a guy locally here that I worked with, and we met a couple times, and he asked me a lot of questions, and we talked through some vision and some different things I had been praying about. We were like, okay, let's come up with like an animal or something. So we went through a bunch of versions: eagles, mountain lions, like a gorilla. Like there were some different ones, and we kind of landed on the lion. And then there was a lot of iterations we went through because, coincidentally, what you'll find is when you start doing digging for like copyright stuff, there's a lot of lion images and logos and things. And I know that we have a number of affiliates in the area region who have lions as part of it. And so I was like, well, I need a unique lion. I want a lion that looks kind of intense, but also reminds me of Aslan, right? So like he's very dangerous, but he's kind, right? And that was kind of the idea. It was like, okay, we want something it's CrossFit. This isn't easy. It's not whatever, it's challenge, but I also don't need like a lion ripping someone in half, like we had some that's like a claw and anywho. So I was like, okay, we want this. We settled on kind of a couple different versions and we came to this one and we did some research and I didn't feel like there was anything close. And then I wanted a crown involved for our 3 core values: family, community, and fitness. And also personally, it also then kind of interplayed with my faith in that it can represent the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And also obviously the lion is representative often of Christ. And we named my firstborn son Judah, and so there was just a lot of these themes kind of all going on at the same time. I bought the gym, I tore my ACL, and we had our first son all in that first year. Anywho, so that's kind of how we landed on that, and it's kind of rock and rolled. I've been trying to update logoing as we go. It's quite a process, but we've doing a good job. But I still have a number of the Louisiana ones up because I do like a little bit of throwback.
Mm-hmm.
That has the old logo on it, because I'm not necessarily like solely committed to this one, but it's just kind of become the new representation of what we do. And sometimes we'll do shirts with no CrossFit on it. We'll just put the lion on. Our newest shirt coming out is just the crown only. So it gives us some opportunity to not just only brand CrossFit, even though that's obviously what we do, but it hopefully gives maybe a little bit of opportunity for people to ask questions and go from there. So that's kind of the little long and short how we decided on that.
See, and people think logos are just easy.
Those
The right logo, man, takes time. It has meaning. It has what you've already displayed, multiple layers behind things. And I love, I love you put a crown on there, and I love that crown represents multiple things. Like that's that's cool. I love that, and like I'm biased because I love the Lion of Judah, and then you bring the faith into your business and into what you're doing. It's a beautiful thing. So the people that don't know that are listening, you own CrossFit SBC here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and you said this is your 5th year of being the full owner?
No, this is
Okay.
we're finishing year 3. Year 4 will
Okay.
so yeah, we'll start year 4 April of 26. So I mean, we're not to year 4 yet. We've got a few things coming up on the calendar yet, but I'm starting to already kind of look at what are we going to kind of start Q1 off. Usually fall we get a little slow, but yeah, this will be coming up. We'll start year 4, and this is finishing out year 3. So it's been a hard journey. It's been a very rewarding journey. I wouldn't change it for anything, but it's been good. God has really been present a lot of times when I didn't, I didn't go to school for any of this. I love CrossFit. I got into coaching, but I was like, oh, maybe someday I'll own an affiliate. And it kind of all came happening so quickly. And so a lot of this is just school of hard knocks, man. I'm learning a lot. And some days I'm like, I don't think I have any clue what I am doing. But you know what? We get up and we serve people and we give them the best hour of their day, hopefully. And then the next day the sun rises again, and kind of just repeat that process over and over again and take care of the little things. And hopefully, you give a good service and people know that you care. And, from there, the rest is kind of out of our control, right?
Yeah, man. You wake up every day to and your mission is to serve people. You can go a long way in business just doing that alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's cool that you're serving people in a gym setting. So let's backtrack a little bit. You said you never thought you would own an affiliate, or you didn't go to school for this. What was that initial plan before you got into being a business owner and or even just an affiliate owner?
Yeah. So I was in high school, growing up, had a lot of high, lofty ideas, oh, I'm going to play football, or oh, I'm going to be a firefighter, or oh, a lot of things. Kind of settled on history through high school then. I was like, I like history. I was involved in a lot of sports. Ended up having the opportunity to play football in college, a little D2 school out in Canton, Ohio. And I had a hard time figuring out my major out there. It took me over a year to really like commit to something. I took a lot of history classes because that's kind of what I had interest in. And just through a lot of like digging and personal reflection, that first year was a challenging year. I learned a lot, and I kind of was like, okay, God can use me no matter what I choose here. Because for me, it felt very like, this is the start and this is the end. If I choose history, this is the path I'm on. And so, man, it was heavy. It was really heavy, but I had really a lot of support, a lot of great profs in my family, and keep seeking, keep learning. What you choose now is not always the end in stone thing. Ended up declaring a history major with a minor in poli sci. And I was like, okay, we're going to run this out. We're going to see how it goes. Ended up transferring schools mid fall my sophomore year, and went home, packed up all my stuff, said goodbye. I just felt like I needed a different place, and that's a whole other story. But I felt like God was moving me a little bit away from that. So I went home over Christmas break. I'd sent out a bunch of my football stuff to see if that was an opportunity. Got some calls, had some interest. Ended up a week or so before school was going to start that new semester in the spring. I ended up kind of declaring for Wheaton College, which is now on the other side. So I went east from where I was born in Indiana to Ohio, and then I went back west towards Chicago to Wheaton. So I played football then at Wheaton, and I stayed with poli sci, and history was sort of a more focus on pre-law towards the end of college. So I was like, okay, I feel like God is calling me into history. I love that. But in learning about history and research, I've learned that there have been a lot of exploited people throughout history, and I just really feel a call to defend the defenseless. And that was kind of my thing at the time. So it's like, I want to go do something with this. So I kind of pursued that on out. I finished football, had a great time, loved it. And it was such a great experience. And I got into CrossFit then. And sometimes this can all blur a little bit. I think it was the spring of 17 summer. I had done a little bit of CrossFit in the summers going home with a guy by the name of Brian Wong. He very phenomenal CrossFitter, ended up winning the Masters 35 to 40 games 2 or 3 years ago. So he was the fittest 35 to 40-year-old. So I had an opportunity to work out with him. That was kind of my start. And he would beat the crap out of me every summer. And I'd come
How
back
old were you at this time? Like 20 something? How old were you at this time? Like 20 something?
in mid college.
Okay.
Years. So I don't remember 8, 19, 20, 21, kind of those mid years. So I knew
Yeah.
about CrossFit because this would have been 2014, 2015. So it was like really peaked. Rich Froning had transitioned to team, I think, right about this time. Matt was coming on. It was huge, right? 2018 was kind of the peak. So I found out about that I was like, I'm doing this after football. So I got into that. Okay. So now I'm doing some CrossFit. I'm finishing college, and I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? I need some jobs. I need work, or am I going to go to law school? And I decided that I really felt like I didn't know that law school was actually maybe what I was going to commit to yet because of the money that was needed. I just wanted to be responsible. I recognized that, look, there are a lot of ways I could have gone through law, but I just felt like it was a big investment, and there was a little bit of me. Maybe it was cold feet. Maybe it was God kind of whispering. I just felt like I needed to put pause. So started doing CrossFit at a gym called CrossFit Alpha Dog in Lombard, Illinois. Many people know this gym now. This was CrossFit Alpha Dog was Andrew Hiller's gym. So Hiller Fit, right? So I met Andrew at Granite Games with Brian one summer when we went up with Brian. Brian picked me up actually from school, went up there. I met Andrew. So his gym was just down the street from us in Lombard, and I was in Wheaton. So I started going there and training. This would kind of lead us into I think my first open was 2018. Started coaching there and at another gym, CrossFit Hard Gainers. And then I also picked up a side job working at Lululemon in Oak Brook. Okay. So this was all kind of happening. And the reason that's important is because at this time, I really didn't know where I was going to go. I was kind of just making ends meet. I lived in a really small house, little 500 square foot room with a couple other guys. I was dating Lauren. We were living apart there in Wheaton. She's from here. Okay. We were dating, kind of courting, that kind of thing. And long story short, as I'm getting more involved in coaching, I'm kind of like, okay, I think this is the way I want to go with things, right? We get married 2019, February. Things turn around into COVID early 2020. Chicago Mary Light, the governor, just shut it down. I mean, churches couldn't get into gyms. It was pretty crazy. So we were just stuck in our little apartment that we had moved into. And basically we were like, okay, we're getting out of here. So we came down, lived with her parents for a few months, ended up finding a house. I contacted Fred down here, who was the previous owner, and I was like, can I do some coaching? I want to work during this time, or can I help? So I kind of got involved there. And then, kind of long story short, started finding a role here as we moved everything down. And then, kind of the rest is history. I started coaching here, and then the opportunity came to buy the gym a couple years in. So that's kind of I try to keep it quick, but that's kind of like how I ended up here. I didn't ever think that I was going to end up here. I thought I was going to do history maybe, and then I thought I was going to do law, and then kind of CrossFit worked its way in there, and I loved training and I loved that element of it. And I could help people every day right now. And at that time, to coach, it doesn't cost you any money. And I was like, well, I could eventually take some of this money and maybe I could buy a gym. Well, I didn't know that that opportunity was going to come so soon, but here we are. So I thought maybe in my later 30s I would do that, but the opportunity came. I had no clue how to do it. I had no clue how to buy a gym. So I just started having conversations. And, to this day, I don't really know how all the pieces fell. I mean, I did the work, but God did a lot of, it was really crazy. Just a lot of the right conversations at the right time, the right people. And, we took a little bit of a risk on a few things, but I figured I could bet on myself and I was going to go for it. And here we are. So no, I did not ever seeing myself ever in a million years know what CrossFit was, right? Here, and here I am. God has a crazy way. I don't know, I don't know that this is the end. We're in this thing for a little while. We love it. Maybe it's another 10 years, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's I run the gym and I pick up something else. Maybe we own multiple gyms. I'm kind of open to what, God wants to do. But right now the job is steward the gym, do the best we can with the members and the funds that we have and continue to impact the community. And then we'll kind of see how, things kind of build, just like this podcast, with you. Like starts, I'm just gonna do this. And then here you go. I don't know how to do a podcast. I don't have, whatever. Now here you are, you're doing it kind of where we are.
Bro, it is so cool that you didn't become a high school football coach and a history teacher.
I know
Like
it could have.
looking at your life and you explaining the first part, I was like, it is only God that he is not in a high school somewhere being a high school football coach teaching history.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, that would have been a great job probably too.
Yeah.
I could have had impact there. And I've thought about that a lot. Oh, as my boys get older, is that something I maybe go do? Maybe, because I do like teaching. I like coaching. So we'll see. Who
Like
knows?
you were on the direct path of becoming a high school football coach, teaching history and impacting a whole lot of people through the high school, like that 14, 18-year-old through football and through high school, which is a great thing. And then, you start seeing the pictures of God. Okay, we're turning this way. Okay, we're going this way. All right, now we're going to the law. So now we can work the justice system. Okay, so now we did that. Now you got into the coaching, and now you're like, oh no, I can help people actually feel better and move better and live a better life with the skills that I maybe have learned for those 10 years. And now they're coming out in this and that, man. Pretty similar paths actually of how we got into the coaching. But man, what does your training look like right now? Because a lot of people may not know you've gone down some dark roads with some injuries in the past couple of years. Because what a lot of people don't know is I'm gonna throw it out there. You were pretty elite in the CrossFit worldwide. I mean, you were top. You were under 1,000. You're like 800 in the world.
Yeah, I don't remember what my highest finish was.
Yeah.
Man, I'd have to look. I don't want to. I had a couple top 500 finishes in a
Yeah.
outs, and I think the one year I was 400th. I don't think I ever broke 400, but
And what people don't understand is like during that open time, especially at that time, man, there's hundreds of thousands of people doing the same workouts. So even if you just split it in half, I'm like, you are pretty elite in that group of doing those workouts.
well, I appreciate that. I loved it. I still do. So, and I had honestly, sometimes people will ask me, well, what does it take? How do you get pretty good at it? And some of it is honestly, yes, the working hard, yes, good coaching and all of that. But some of it is you kind of bring a little bit of your past to the sport. And I sort of had a few of the right sort of things that I had done my whole life to help. So it wasn't all just like, oh, I just got good quickly. I had a decent amount of strength. I had some good power from football. I had some of those things, but coincidentally, I was never an overly strong guy, even in football, but I was a fairly decent athlete and knew the game well. And that's a whole other story. My dream was to play at Penn State, but it didn't work out. I wasn't good enough. The guys I mean, it's hard to explain to parents who want their kids how, the difference. Yes, I played Division 2. Yes, I had scholarship. No, it was not a full ride. And then I transferred to Division 3 school. And you know what? We still had NFL scouts at our practices, and we had guys go to the league. And I'm going to tell you some of them guys were unreal athletes. The only reason that they didn't go D1 is because they were troublesome, like, they couldn't get their head right or their grades. But dude, we had guys. I mean, to play at the Division 1 level is a lot of God's gifting, and there is a lot of work. There is yes, you got to be disciplined. Yes, there's all those things. But I'll give a quick side story. I trained at a place called AWP when I was in high school. It was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, 40 minutes away from me, and this kind of set up my life training wise. This place is pretty expensive. It was a personal, think of it as a really high tier training place. Maybe here in like Dallas or something, right? These guys, all these high level people go. They got speed coaches, strength coaches. We do an hour and a half every day. Thursday was like a recovery day, but everything is coach led, programmed out. These guys are all specialty guys. This is what they do, strength and conditioning. And I went up there and played on a 7-on-7 team that went down to IMG Academy and won the championships. Well, this was years ago, 2011, 2012. I was not on the A team. I was on the B team. But, I mean, the entire A team, Drew Tranquil was on that team. Okay. He's, by the way, a multi Super Bowl champion, right? Jalen Smith, who would have been a top 3 pick, went to the Dallas Cowboys, but hadn't got his knee blown out at playing at Notre Dame, right? I mean, I played with, and I could go down the line, 7, 8, 9, 10 other guys who all went straight Division 1, 3, 4, 5-star guys. And you very quickly realize I was a good football player. I was a very good football player in the state of Indiana. I was not even close. I don't even think I had a single star rivals, right? But I was like getting Division 2 looks, getting Division 3. I was going to Bowling Green, going to, a bunch of these MAC schools, but I wasn't big enough or I wasn't quite fast enough. I was a 4'6" guy. I maybe had a 145. I was 170-ish pounds, but like they wanted me to play strong safety, which is I played corner in high school, which I would have loved to have played, but I needed to be 200 pounds at a 4'6", or I needed to run a low 4'5" at 180 pounds when I walked in. So they kind of passed me up. And I was really frustrated through all that, but through training at AWP with those guys, I learned a lot about work ethic. I learned what it takes. I learned the discipline. I learned about sleep, about food, about smart training. I trained with those guys. Freaking USC coaches are coming in, and Notre Dame, they're talking to freaking Jalen, and I'm in there squatting with him, right? Jalen's like benching 225 as a junior for like 12 reps, right? I can do it not even one time, right? He's like out of a rock, 40-inch vertical, 4.40. And the guy's the nicest guy, works at Burger King, right? Actually, a really high character guy.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of this was it was a development for either really talented, which I guess I was somewhat talented, but dedicated and talented athletes to come together to talk about God, but also kind of set your foundation, because we talked about how character kind of takes you farther than just your athletic ability. And you can see a lot of those guys now, they're doing big things. So that all brings me to, it kind of set my foundation. I had some opportunities through that. I had some good high school success. I played in college, did not get to do my dream, but I had the tools then. I understood recovery. I understood all of this. So when I came into CrossFit, there were some skills I had to learn, but I got plugged in with Brian. Then I got plugged in with Andrew. Then, and it kind of just worked out. I had a lot of really influential people in my life, and they invested in me and believed in me. And I just put my head down and just worked really hard. I mean, it just is what it is. You just got to do the work at that point. Made hardly no money, worked at Lululemon, coached on the side, trained multiple hours a day, which in hindsight, I could have done that a lot smarter. I'm a lot smarter now than I was. So here we come full circle. I had some good years competing. I felt like I always missed the pole, because CrossFit kind of always like moved the stick, and like every year I would get kind of close, but like they would move the cut line to like, they changed regionals in 18 and then they moved it. And like, I could have been like a regional qualifier had they had regionals in 2019, but like
Mm-hmm.
didn't. They moved it to like 50 guys in the whole whatever. And anywho, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The point is, I trained hard at it. It was something I loved. I had a good year, 2018, whatever it was, 2021, 2, 3. I don't remember before I got hurt. I got hurt in 22. So I had a good year, probably my best year, maybe. I had closed a lot of gaps, was rolling into the off season. I bought the gym in April. So this is all happening this year. We had our son Judah in August. I got the opportunity to go compete at this competition, the Crash Crucible out
Mm-hmm.
Carolinas over at JR Howe's gym. And so I went out there and like Luke Parker's there and all these freaking guys that like they're so much better than me, dude. And I had the opportunity to work out there and I did fairly decent, like middle of the pack. And I was like, man, I can do this. So I had a lot of gusto. I was like, a little bit of self-belief. I can do these hard workouts. I'm hanging with these guys. They're better than me. I don't know that I'll ever make the games, but like I can compete at this higher level. I can do it. Came back, signed up for Raging Games 2 weeks later, not on a lot of sleep, probably not fully recovered. I went down there. Trayvon Benton was down there, a couple other guys who were good, really good talent for this area. And Trayvon's done very, very well. And a couple other guys who were on Games team. So it was no slough. You know, it wasn't like a drop off. It was an RX competition, but they were giving out some good money and there were some good dudes. So I was like, I'm going to go down there and, you know, I've got a good high. Well, I ended up going down. The first event, we did like a heavy DT version and basically I blew my knee out. I mean, long and short. We don't really know why. It was kind of a crazy thing. I didn't know I tore my ACL at the beginning. I tried to warm up and do the second event. It wasn't going to happen. So I got in my car and drove back. And, anyways, I began this long road, right? So I had surgery then at the end of the year, in November, I think, somewhere around there. This is 22. I rehabbed all year, got all the way back around to the next open. So I kind of did the open in 23, like whatever I could do. I think this is right. Yeah, came around to 24, which would have been last open. Did okay. First open back. I did quarterfinals. I was like, all right, I think I got the fire. I can do this again. You know, knees feeling pretty good, but like a little, some things were kind of weird, but like, whatever. Oh, I get an opportunity to go compete at Metcon Rush. It's invite only. They invite me out to compete at the elite field with some guys. There's some studs going out there again. I haven't.
Where's that one at?
That was up in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Sweet. Okay.
That was up there. Anyways, some other big dudes had jumped in, and I sent some of my finishes in. They're like, just send us where you finished because I didn't have any recent history. And they're like, we'll kind of see and look at the field. So I sent them in. They're like, yeah, we'd love to have you. So I got an invite. Cool. I'm going to go in July. So I'm training. I wake up one day in June, like Monday on a Tuesday. And I was like, dude, my knee is like swollen. That's kind of weird. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably fine. Whatever. A couple days later, I'm like, oh man, it's like really swollen. Like, this is kind of crazy. July 4th comes around. It had been pretty intense. I had to stop training. Dr. Barton was here at our gym, orthopedic guy here locally. He's like, let me take a look at it. So he came in July 4th morning. We were actually flying out to go home to Indiana to visit my family. He's like, let me look at it. All right, you know, I don't think you tore your ACL, but, you know, something's going on. When you get back, let's get an MRI and let's kind of go from there. So I go home to Indiana.
Side note, Dr. Barton is no slouch. The man worked for the Red Sox, the Patriots, and NASA.
Yeah. My mom truly believes it was kind of miraculous because he had just kind of started dropping around the gym about a month prior. It got like I didn't know him prior, and I had a fine operation and surgery previously. I felt like, you know, we had a good operator and a good surgeon, and but Dr. Barton's really good, you know, and he started doing this, and so we had the relationship. So I go home, my knee is on fire, dude. Like insane pain for a couple days. We're at home. I'm hardly enjoying the time at home. I can't walk anymore. I'm like, okay, like something crazy is going on. Lauren kind of mentioned she's a nurse, right? And she's like, I don't know, like maybe we should take you in, like maybe it's infected or something. Like that's kind of rare, but like I'm like, there is no way. I'm like,
So how far? This is over a year of the surgery, right?
Yeah, no. This is like 17, 18 months out.
Oh yeah, so you're way past like rehab, surgery. Like yeah.
Yeah, I was all back in. I'm doing CrossFit class. I'm training, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm getting ready to go to this competition, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I think I'm done with this competition. So I emailed them. I'm like, I'm sorry, like my knee kind of messed up. Get home. Dr. Barton gets me an MRI. He calls me Sunday. I got the MRI on a Friday. He's like, can you be in my office tomorrow morning? Like immediately. I'm like, okay. I mean, like what? He's like, well, we're gonna be all right. He's like, I don't want you to worry, but I just need to get you in tomorrow. I'm like, okay. We go in on Monday. He sits me down. Dr. Barton, for those who don't know, he's a really positive guy and he's awesome. But he comes in, he's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be a 2-stage process. We're going to have 2 surgeries here. And immediately I'm like,
whoa.
pause. What? Why are you smiling? Like, what's going on? You seem really excited about this? And I don't think, I'm like, am I being punked? Like, what's going on? And Lauren's sitting next to me and Judah's sitting on the floor. And he's like, you've got some osteomyelitis in this knee. What that means is you have a bone infection. It's pretty serious. Okay. He's like, we won't know till we get in. He's like, I don't think you're going to lose your leg. So he's like, don't get freaked out by that.
My God.
What is happening right now? He's like, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to schedule you this Friday for a knee debridement. We're going to clean the knee out. We got to take everything out. You're going to have to start over. All right. We're going to go in, do this, blah, blah, blah. At this point, like I don't even hear anything else he says.
You're kind of just zoned out right now. You're like, we're starting over. What
Yeah,
is happening?
I'm literally just like, it's like a movie, everything, and then you like come back, and I was just like, okay, so like, wow, and I'm like, what did he say? Like what's going on? So we go in Friday, we do a surgery, I have it at Wilson Knight, and boom, they clean it out, everything's good. They put a PICC line in my arm to my heart. I had to do 2 antibiotic doses every night. Took about an hour and a half. Lauren would just like hook me up. I'd chill, help the kids a little bit because I could be a little bit mobile. Had this whole, freaking sterilized thing with this line hanging out of me. So I couldn't exercise for 6 weeks minimum just because of the sweat. It's the hottest part of the year, right? I had to be, don't want that getting messed up because that's a straight heart line. He's like, hey, if you want to, if you ever inject anything in there, he's like, this game over. He's like, so just don't mess with it. But anywho, so I got this PICC line in. We run that through 6 weeks. Meanwhile, they're doing labs. I've got people coming. My knee's also trying to heal from the debridement, which is pretty aggressive. So I've kind of got two things going on at once. I'm trying to coach, trying to be a dad. No fitness for now, right? I had to lay that down, which was
Dude,
really
how are you coaching at this time?
coaching. I was in here many hours, actually, probably the most coaching I did because I didn't.
Just like in a wheelchair?
Yeah, I just sat in a chair.
Just sat in a chair? Well, look, some of the greatest coaches that I know sit in rocking chairs in the gym and they just pop out cues.
So I had to learn how to use cues and I had to learn how to use athletes. Say, okay, Lauren, come over. Here's what I want her to show. Okay, I want you to show this and try to do that. Yeah, I mean that's just the best. That's all I could do. I could stand up as the knee healed, and then I was a little bit more mobile. As long as I kept this wrapped, we had like a compression sleeve. So I looked like a cool basketball player all the time. Then I could do whatever as long as it didn't get sweaty, right?
Yeah.
Ran those through, come to the end of that. All right, Justin, it looks good. MRIs are looking good. Blood, everything's looking great. We had Cohen. I got a call from Dr. Barton right before we had literally hours. It was like Sunday or Monday night whenever we went in. And he called me. He's like, we're good to go. Let's schedule a date for surgery. You look good. Have the baby. Kind of recover through the baby thing stage. And then we'll go do surgery. Have Cohen. He's great. He's healthy. Mom's healthy. We get her back to health 6 weeks later. So now we're kind of end of the year last year, November. We schedule surgery November 13th. I go in, boom, we do the ACL. We took a patella tendon this time instead of the hamstring. And here we go. We're back on the road, right? He had to do some more meniscal fixes like they did last time. So I had to be non-weight bearing again, which was a huge bummer because initially we thought we were just going to do the ACL only. So here I am back on crutches again, which that is the worst part of the whole deal. The ACL thing sucks, but like being non-weight bearing, for those of you who have, is the most humbling experience. It almost makes me emotional. You learn, you have to rely on other people a lot. And it's
Yeah.
really hard. And I had to do it twice. And the first time afterwards, I was like, I pray God never makes me do that again. And I did it again. And it was very humbling. You can make it, but you realize, getting in the shower, I can't shower. You cannot stand on the leg. So my wife is bathing me. I'm standing there. I got two boys. I can't, it's hard. That was a really eye-opening experience.
For a man, it pulls on you in ways you weren't expecting.
Well, especially you're an athlete. Other people may be listening as are athletes. You can do whatever you want, right? You're athletic. You're strong. Suddenly you cannot do anything. I can't even cook because I can't. I'm standing like this with one leg up, and they want to elevate it. And anywho,
Yeah, the guilt and shame starts running in real fast.
it's the enemy plays on it real hard. You're not doing enough. You're not a good enough dad. You're not helping your wife. It's, that was a journey. I had to cling really hard. A lot of scripture, a lot of just prayer, a lot of crying, honestly. Just emotions. So I'm like, okay, here we go. We're rolling back. I start working with Jared a little bit on some physical therapy. Jared has been my physical therapist, Jared Roger, all these 3 years. An incredible guy. So we're going. Like my leg's getting really itchy. Some like weird stuff's happening. I start breaking out all over my leg. My leg starts getting red again. I'm like, this is crazy. This is kind of like what happened with my infection last time. Turns out we go in about 4 or 5 weeks out on a Friday. Dr. Barnes like, yeah, I think you have cellulitis. And I think this tibia, it looks like it's infected. So we're going in. Can you meet me at the operating room in 2 hours? This is December 6th. We had our Christmas.
Justin, I did not know about this one.
Well, I haven't really told a lot of people this one because it was kind of it was really hard to express. But so I think it was December 6th it was a Friday. We had our Christmas party that day at the paddock. It's like 7 hours from now, 8 hours. was like, yeah, all right, let's do it. Like, let's just freaking do it. I don't even like whatever we got to do. I don't even know if insurance is going to cover this. I don't even know. Like, we're just going. It's like, all right, I'll see you over there. I'm going to scrub up. So I go walking over there. I'm like calling my family, telling everybody. Lauren's in tears. She's got to go take the kids home. Like, here we go again. Who knows what this is going to be? So they go in. They go in the tibia, which is where the initial infection has always been. It was located in that where that screw initially was. Why it initially infected, we don't know, but basically it reinfected that same area. So I wake up. He said it went really well. We took the screw out, took out a bunch of some of the tissue and some of the other things, and I'm not I don't want to speak for him, but basically they did the job, right? They did what they needed to do. Things look great. We put a new screw in. We didn't have to go into the joint. We did send it off to lab. You do have staff, okay? It's MSSA, so it's not MRSA, which means we have a lot more opportunities to fight it. We're going to get you hooked up back with the infectious disease Dr. Malik, and you guys are going to go after this thing with oral antibiotics, and we think we kind of got it. We're going to observe it, go home, whatever. So I'm like, here we go. Long story short, I'm on some different painkillers and things. I did make it to the Christmas party. I was not very social. Some people were like, I didn't really want to make an announcement about it. And I think some people didn't know kind of what was going on because I was kind of just sitting in the corner in La La Land with my leg up, all dressed up, and they came up and they
They're
did
like, guys, something is going on with Justin. It's not right.
they did a little birthday surprise, and I got a little, and I just told everybody, like, I don't, I went in today. We had to do another surgery, and it is what it is. But thank y'all for your support. And sorry, I'm kind of a little bit just kind of out of it. So we made it through. I had to have a lot of help the next couple of weeks with coaching because they wanted me to be off of it, keep it elevated. We did a bunch of different hyperbaric chamber, a bunch of different protocols. I was on oral antibiotics. So I ran those out for 6 weeks. Then I had just come off. It didn't set me back on the weight bearing. So I was still able to walk January 1st. So I just had to keep doing the things, taking the antibiotics, doing the things. Was able to walk right kind of at the turn of the year. We went down to Florida with my family, and that was great because I got to walk and be with the kids, and we got to go to the beach and do some things. And that was a really cool opportunity to be with my side of the family. And so then we ran a few more courses of antibiotics, and I came off on a suppressing dose just to see if things would flare up. Nothing happened. I came off of that, and now I've been off. When did we stop? April, May, somewhere in there, May-ish, I think. And so I've been off for 3-4 months now, and I've had a couple setbacks, but I've been doing a lot of this biking, trying to get back into some training, lots of physical therapy. That's kind of the primary focus. Thank the Lord so far. I mean, so good. Things look good. I think my health's come back. I go in for every 4 weeks checkups and do labs, but things are looking good. A lot of my labs have come back to actually before what they even were before the very first infection, before we did the abridgment, whatever that was, a year and a half, actually a year ago now, a year ago in July. So we're thankful, we've come through it. I'm prayerful. They can't promise me it's gone because with infection, apparently it can be dormant. It could come back, but I have to live my life. I have to go forward. And, I pray and believe that we got it. And, that's hopefully the end of that journey. So doing what I can do, getting back into things. And yeah, I'm doing some biking now. So we'll see.
That's cool. But so what's the end goal on the bike?
So here's the thought, right? I love CrossFit. CrossFit is still near and dear to me. And I thought I gave up the fire. It came back. And then the infection, everything happened. I was like, I think when this is all done, I think I'm going to hang it up, hang up the shoes. I don't know that I really have what it takes to try to do everything to get back. Well, then I was like, no, I'm going to hold off on that. I'm just going to keep going a day at a time. So I'm going to reach out to some people that I know. So I got in contact with a guy that's fairly well known in the community. He works for Training Think Tank, Kyle Ruth. He's a kind of a big coach in the space. And I called him. I said, hey, look, I don't know if you have any room for clients. I said, I've got some goals. I'm 30 years old. I've had some injuries. I said, based on what I know about you from following you and the athletes you work with, I think you could help me. I said, I'm committed to it. I know it's not cheap. I know it takes some sacrifice, but I'd like to get back on the horse here. And I think I'd like to make a run at this CrossFit stuff again. And I don't know if that means age group down the road. I got a few years till that, or if that just means trying to make my dream of making a semifinal happen, because I do feel like it's still there. And I do feel like I have the system and the support and some of the knowledge. I just need some direction because it's going to be a longer journey. And along the way, I would like to kind of detour, because as this knee is going to take probably a little longer this time around, I'd like to get into this biking. My father-in-law likes to bike a lot. And I have this goal of kind of doing some bike racing. And I think I'd like to go do Leadville. I'd seen Rich do Leadville while I was doing all this recovery. And I raced bikes on single track mountain bikes in Indiana, flat. Okay. But when I was in high school, just for fun during the summers to stay fit and just like do things, and I had always loved it. So I had the technical expertise and I had some of this CrossFit fitness, and I figured it would be less bang up on my knee. So it's like, I want to kind of blend this all together. And I want to kind of set a big, hairy, audacious goal for like Leadville next year. So this will be 2026. So that gives me time to run PT, get into a strength cycle as I exit PT, start getting some biking introduction, and then start ramping up biking and kind of try to work the end spectrum, a little bit of biking, a little bit of strength work, maybe one CrossFit day mixed in because I still love CrossFit. I'm not stopping that. And we're going to try to balance all of this and see if we can make a run for Leadville. So now we're kind of into that process. We're whatever. Now I'm 7, 8 months in, whatever it is, 8 months or whatever. So we're soon exiting, physical therapy. I got a few more months of that, and we're kind of back into return to play, so to speak, right? And then we'll kind of start ramping up the bike more. But I've been doing a lot of biking in the gym and a little bit on the weekends and just kind of scratching the surface, trying to get some time in the saddle. I'm going to go up and do one race for sure. I'm signed up. It's called the Little Sugar. It's up in Bentonville, and that's a 100K race. So it's 60 miles, but it's not an elevation. So I'm going to go up and do that one. That's a cross country race. And then I'm going with Paul, my father-in-law, and we may go do one in Alabama as well, or we may go do the Austin Rattler, which he did last year, which I was going to go do with him until I had all this knee stuff.
Yeah.
And if I can get a punch through that, I'm not going to win. Okay. They only give like the top 3 or 4 performers like automatic entry to Leadville. The rest, they like draw. If you do the longest race, they can draw you. They like draw 20 or 30 people at each race. So obviously, the more races you do, the more opportunity. And then you've got, they call it the lottery at the start of the year that they draw. So I've got a few opportunities. There's no guarantee that I get in. But the reality is with my trajectory, I have to kind of, if I'm going to do it, I have to just believe and really I'm just, because look, here's the deal. I could do all this and prepare because I have to start now if I'm going to make this happen because of my knee. But it could be very possible that I don't get pulled at any of those and I don't get the lottery. And it could be possible that I sit here next April and like, I'm not doing it. But the plan is, if that's God's will, that's the goal. So we're going to train like it. We're going to go through it. We're getting ready to start a strength phase. And I'm going to overlay that with the biking. Okay. And we're going to have to do it smartly. But the good thing is biking is the least taxing on joints, and the eccentric load isn't there like running. So it should be more possible for me to make a little bit of adaptations in both. It's harder to make strength gains in the legs running. And we could get into all the programming elements of that. But biking, it can be fairly congruent depending on how you do it. So I'm using a lot of BFR stuff, a lot of interval-based things, using different heat tactics, acclimation stuff, using some oxygen stuff, like breathing systems, and then obviously just getting out on the road and doing some CrossFit in between. And that is hopefully to do the races, hopefully get drawn at the start of the year, and then we're going to prep for August next year. And Paul is already in. He already got entry in. And we're going to go out there and we're going to see if we can do this. And my goal is to do a sub-9. I really believe I can do
You
it.
gonna get that belt buckle? Is that a belt buckle?
The big belt buckle. Yeah.
Yeah.
They say you need to average, oh, I don't remember. I have all the numbers written down, but it's a certain amount of watts per kilogram. I think it's right around 2.5 or right between 2.5 and 3 at like sea level, which I'm not super far off right now. And I've got some time to do it. We've been doing FTP tests. If you're, a lot of people are probably familiar with that on bikes and different things to try to work on that. But until I can really get my leg strength back, some of that is just going to suffer because I'm getting more aerobically fit because I can do some volume there. But, we've just had to let this knee play out. And it's going to take before start loading it. But once the strength starts coming back, I think it's a possible goal. And look, here's the deal. If I go out and do it and I don't get the 9, you know what? So what? It is what it is. But I've always been someone to set goals. I had a goal in CrossFit. I feel like this is a solid goal. It's attainable, I think. And it's also not super high impact. It's not going to blow my knees up. It gives me the best chance, I think, to recover a little slower, a little less risk. I'm not doing box jumps. I'm not doing heavy cycling of cleans and things. But I've also never trained more than 30, 40-minute segments. So I feel like it could also be a little bit of a secret weapon rolling this back in, if I decide then so I'll be 31 next year, that I want to make a little bit of a push again, I'll have had some time to build a bigger base than I've ever had in my whole life. And we'll see, because based on my last recovery of my ACL, I got a lot of strength back really quickly when I committed to it. And so that gave me a lot of confidence that, hey, if I go this other route and get a little bigger base, and then I come back into CrossFit and we start ramping that up in some strength, it could potentially be what kicks me over the edge. Maybe. And it's worth a shot. It may not. This may all fall apart, right? The Lord knows the plans that He has established, right? This is what I want to do. I want to set some goals. I've always been that way. But you know what, dude? I've got 2 boys. I've got a great business. I want to be a father and all this. So everything is an hour to 90 minutes. Sometimes it's 45 minutes here. Sometimes it's late. Sometimes it's early. Sometimes it's between class. Sometimes it's at nap. So it's going to be what it's going to be. The weekends, I have a little more time. That's when we do some of our longer rides. But like, it's going to be what it's going to be. That's all I got. But I believe, based on what God has brought me through, what I've done in the past, in doing it smart, being really cognizant of nutrition, that's been a huge focus. I've been working with actually Kyle's wife on that, that it could be done, or at least I'm gonna give it everything I got. And so that kind of leads us full circle to that, and kind of a little bit of my story over the last 3 years, and kind of what has happened. So it'd be easy to lay down and poo-poo about it all. And to be honest, there are a lot of days where I feel like I lost an opportunity at something that I had a real shot at. In football, I learned, like I kind of talked about earlier, I didn't have it. And that's okay. And that was hard for me to accept. But I did have some of that in CrossFit. And I was hopeful that maybe everything I had been through was setting me up for something there. And then I had all this ACL stuff, and it has been a hard journey to feel like that got taken again. Sort of like I felt like kind of my big football dream sort of didn't get to where I wanted to get, but I wouldn't trade it for anything, Cody. And like I said, I've been very blessed. We are very fortunate. And at the end, if this is part of my story, it could help encourage somebody to keep going after something, to keep getting back up, then maybe someday it can be a story for somebody, or maybe it's for me. Maybe there was a lot that God had to teach me, and I know that He did. But I also hope that maybe I can get some adversity in some other ways going forward.
Man, I'm sitting here thinking about,
Need to be over.
yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about you and your boys later on in life when they're going through adversity, and you get to sit there and be like, you know what? Y'all sit down for a minute. Let dad tell y'all, what was going on in y'all's young life, because they're not going to remember this right now. But there is some father things right there. There's some adversity in fatherhood that you're going to get to go back and tell them and show them. And, at the end of the day, look at them and be like, dad didn't give up. Dad kept showing up. Dad kept doing the work. And, that's at the end of it, that could just be the lesson that all of us need. Like, be consistent, keep showing up, man. As they say, keep stacking those bricks. And then at the end, look at the house that you get to build. And so, man, I'm proud of you. I don't know if anyone's told you that in the past 3 years. Like, I've been watching.
Many people,
I didn't know a lot about like the backside of it, but man, I've seen the work. I've seen you do a lot of this stuff, and I love, seeing other believers and other dads continue to show up for their family, continue to show up for their wives, continue to show up for their kids, and do hard things. Like the Leadville 100 is not an easy race, because I was thinking about, I want to run it one day. I want to do the run. I want to do the run portion one day, and I am not even close to being able to qualify for that yet. But that's one of the things. But going back to like your aerobic base you're talking about, man, training for this triathlon that I'm gonna, finally get to do next weekend. Dude, the aerobic base that you're gonna look back in a couple of months and look when you get back into CrossFit and some of these other things, you're gonna be like, okay, that was worth it. Like that was actually worth sitting and doing the time. Because dude, I've never taken the time and just sat on a bike and done zone 2 work, or gotten on a treadmill and put it on a pace and be like, all right, I can't go any faster. This is zone 2. I'm going to sit here for 45 minutes and watch a movie. It is mind numbing, but that's what I made myself do, because I knew I had to have easy days in this and I had to have hard days in this. And I've got to make the hard days hard, and I got to make the easy days easy, because like you said, I never know when I'm going to get to train with the 3 kids that I have. I don't know if it's going to be at 4 a.m, 9 p.m, at nap time, so on and so forth, working a full-time job with it. Like, I don't know. The weekends sometimes get fun because I get to like swim and bike at the same time. But usually during the week, man, it is all split up all throughout, just trying to get it in.
Well, and I'm encouraged by you, and you've been awesome. I mean, I know we don't get to see each other as much as would be nice. That's sometimes one of the things that I'm always bummed about is, we have a number of gyms around here and we have a lot of people who love fitness. And sometimes I wish there were some more avenues that we could all kind of congregate or whatever. But, I appreciate you doing things like this. I think this is awesome for people. And, ultimately all that my story hopefully can encourage people is to just don't give up. I mean, I'm not anybody special. Look, I'm a pretty normal dude, love hard. I'm super passionate about things and that drives me. Also, can be a fault of mine sometimes. But, I love my wife, I love my kids. But I'm not going to give up on myself either. And what I feel like God has put in my heart, it's also not for everybody to know either. And I don't want to put things out there or portray myself in a certain way. This journey has been super humbling. And so I'm doing these things. And I would have liked to said that in the past. I was doing CrossFit and trying to be good at it. And I was doing football and trying, for myself or for what maybe God had inspired in my heart. But I don't know that I always was, if I'm honest. But this time, I'll be really honest. This is all for the glory of God, and it's not because not because I have some platform, because I don't freaking know how to do social media. I don't post my I don't. That's not what it's about. I'm just not like that. I think that work needs to be done, and like when I played football, we didn't like post our like practices and like and so that's just not who I am. People that, why don't you could post this and do this and you could do, and I'm like, yeah, but like it's not about that, because this is not about really about me like shining, right? This is about like something I feel like God has put on my heart to do. I want to do it. Is it hard? Is it impressive to a lot? Yeah, sure, but man, it's for me, right? It's for what I feel like God has put on my heart to do, and so I'm gonna chase after it. And if people know and they find out, that's great. But ultimately, like you got to at some point decide I'm doing something, for me or something that God put on my heart, and I don't need the validation. I don't, and it's great, and I appreciate you saying you're proud of me. I mean, I don't have a lot of people say that to me, so that means a lot. But I want to do it for the right reasons, and I want to do it because it's something I want to do, and I feel like God has done it. And you know what? And if it doesn't work out, like I said, then I've had some good heartbreaks in the last couple years, so I've kind of learned that our ways are not always the Lord's, and that's okay. But look, there's a lot that can be said about setting something and saying, "This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try. If I get to the end of this and nothing works out, I never make a semifinal. Leadville goes horribly. Guess what? I'm still going to be a better dad. I'm still going to have learned how to balance a business and my family and training, and I still know that at the end, I'm going to be a better person. And also, what else would I be doing? I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
on my business, yes, there are other good things to do, but like you can find an hour and a half or an hour of your day, put down your phone, not watch TV. The kid goes down for a nap. You need a quick warm up. Make sure you're eating to support your training. Make sure you're sleeping. You got to prioritize those things. And you go out and you just get it freaking done. Doesn't have to be sexy. Doesn't have to take long. It doesn't need to be, you just need to have a little bit of a plan and you just got to execute. And what happens is it just does this, just like PT with my knee. I can't walk for the first couple of weeks. And next thing you're doing double leg squatting to a box. And then you're doing single leg squatting to a box. And then you're going a little lower. And then now I'm jogging, but it's like overall, little by little, it makes a lot. And you don't have to be great, right? Every day. Nick Bear always says this, and it was something I actually heard it right before I tore my ACL, and he basically said this kind of quote, and it's basically like greatness is kind of is a moment. It's kind of fairly easy to capture, right? But like you want to be good all the time, because being good consistently allows for those great moments to happen, right? You got to consistently show up. It's got to be good. If you only think it's great, you're going to get into this perfectionist mindset and you're never going to do it because it's not, the conditions suck. This isn't right. My bike tire is not pumped up right. The gym, I don't have time to do a full warm up to do these intervals. Dude, all right, good is good, and you know that, and people I think are learning that, and you can set goals, you can go after them, you can train hard, and you just got to be good, and you just got to do it over and over. And then when you get out of there, you get with your family, you do the things that matter, you eat your food, because you got to freaking eat your food. You got to sleep, you got to hydrate, and then you just show up the next day ready to do what the next thing is, thinking about, can I come back tomorrow? So, dude, that's what it's all about. And I appreciate this platform. I hope in all of this, You chop some of it up. I sometimes talk long-winded, but that's what people get out of this, right? It's just that like there ain't nothing special about it, right? It's just consistently done and following kind of what I feel like God has, inspired me to do. And maybe other people can see that and not give up and, I don't know, reach for something big, maybe inspire some people along the way, maybe just my boys. I don't know. Maybe nobody. And that's okay. I'm all right with that.
Definitely your boys. Man, Justin, I appreciate you, dude.
No, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. Real quick, when are you? So you're running this weekend?
August 3rd, next Sunday. Yep. Do what?
You said triathlon, right?
No, I'm starting with a sprint.
Oh, this is it the one local here?
Yeah, River Cities. Yep.
Well, me and Drew have actually been Drew has been getting interested. A good friend of mine, coach, really, really fit dude too, has been getting interested in maybe. So they just announced a half at the start of the Ironman season next year in Dallas. I just
I
got
saw that and I'm very interested.
really interested, and I said, here's the deal. Because I'll be doing all this bike training and I feel fairly comfortable in the water, my only concern is going to be if I can get to the mileage on my knees. But I said, if I can start doing that in the next month or two, I said, I'll go do it with you if you sign up. So who knows? We may be doing a half Ironman thrown in
Let's
the
do
middle.
it.
But if we've got some other people, we've been trying to talk Nate Smith into it, some others. I mean, if you're interested, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I know Tucker likes some of those kind of things too. And there's different guys and gals. I mean, why not? We could send a group over there. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but like a half, I feel like is somewhat attainable. Okay. A full
Yeah.
is needs some serious, serious hours put in. But like a half with the CrossFit we do, and I know your fitness bait things, like I think it's doable. You know what I mean? So, but and especially if we had a little group that was kind of communicating, everybody was encouraging one another, I think it could be fun. And we could go represent how CrossFit can still prepare us for things like that. I don't know.
Dude, go watch the Buttery Bros last video.
Oh yeah. I watched Mars's he like did I think he did a half, right?
Dude, Sprague, they just did a half Ironman and Sprague jumped in with them and like crushed it.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, he was like the fittest man on earth last year, so
I mean, I think he went like sub 5.
that's beast mode. People will have a hard time understanding what that means, but that's fast. That's moving. For some,
Yes.
literally does not do something longer than like 20-minute AMRAPs, which they are beasts in those time frames, right? But like,
I mean, he said his longest run was 9 miles. That he had never done a half marathon. His longest run was 9 miles, and he jumped in and went sub 5 on all of it.
I think someone had said they were like benching the day before or something.
Yes, I think that was his brother or something. Yeah, I don't know, but they jumped in, and I was like, I was literally watching that episode when I was doing a zone 2 workout the other day on the treadmill.
Motivating.
Yes.
Well, Cody, I mean, anything else for me? I mean,
Man, that's it. I'm wrapping up. I'm about to go do. I've got another presentation. We're in school right now. Well, not the kids aren't in school. All the teachers and stuff are in, and so I'm about to drive to our other campus, and I'm gonna present. I'm actually going to present on how to eat, sleep, and move well.
well, there you go. Well, I'm
There
drinking.
we go.
I had some of my applesauce right before this. Get your carbs, get your protein. Make sure
That's
you
it.
recover. Tell them.
Get some sleep. People go to sleep. If that's the only thing you can do and manage, sleep. It's the greatest performance enhancing drug you have.
Correct. Bingo. And unfettered sleep too. I tell
Yes.
people all the time, but you know how it goes being a coach. They got to listen. Sometimes Netflix can be really can really pull you in.
Oh,
So
don't start me on binging some shows starting at 8 o'clock. You finally find a show and then you look up, you're like, oh my gosh, it's midnight.
midnight. Yep. Cody, I appreciate your time. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir, man. You have a good one.
God bless. Bye-bye.